Nicholas, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Matt. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic, fantastic.
Not a whole lot happened this week.
No, nothing much,
What you do
really.
on Tuesday?
Well, I did watch the result of the election on a podcast, on a live stream, actually. It was a
Oh, the
YouTube live.
election. The election.
Yeah,
That's right. That's what happened. You
yeah.
watched it on a podcast.
Yeah, so I was actually watching a live stream on YouTube that was going over the result and people commenting about it. It was pretty cool. Pretty neat experience. Pretty neat experience. So I didn't
That's
watch any TV at all.
that's very cool. Of course, I stayed up late and got up early, like most Americans. It was an interesting evening. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's pretty
Lots to
good.
talk about this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And so today we're going to be talking about four topic. Obviously, what's next after this special week? The next topic we want to bring on is the freedom case and some really interesting things going on in that space. We're going to briefly talk about holiday spending, and then the last category is going to be about a very unique category, the wellness category, which is a growing category. We're just diving into that. Why don't we get started?
Excellent. Let's go.
All right, everybody, this is Nico with Isumi, the company that gets you live stream on video on your website, social media, email, and SMS. Super excited to be here, calling from Chicago today. And I'm with my great friend Matt from E6 Marketing, the company that gets you on QVC and HSN. We're so thrilled to have you here today. We have a lot to talk about, but Matt, before we go there, why don't you tell us what the show is?
Yes, thank you, Nicholas. So thank you very much. Thank you for tuning into the Vcommerce podcast, the Vcom podcast. So this is Nicholas and I. We talk about everything associated with video commerce each week here Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Video commerce is the dynamic that started with DirecTV, Direct Response TV, DRTV, then graduated to QVC and HSN. Now you could buy things through your apps, through your phone, through your computers, and your television. So we try to cover the top four stories of the week. Hopefully we entertain you, you learn a little bit, and we get you out of here pretty quickly. So obviously, Nicholas, I was joking at the top of the show what's going on this week. The big story was obviously the presidential election. Donald J. Trump won the presidential election. The Republicans kind of swept the House and the Senate. Lots of conversation and talk through the media throughout the week. But we talk about commerce on this show. So what I wanted to touch upon with you and get your reaction to is how's Trump going to work, now that this is his second go around without much to lose, meaning that, it's his second term. So there's no politicizing or campaigning for, another term. This is it for him. How's his 4 years going to affect the business world?
Well, I can't really speak specifically about what's going to be happening, right? I don't have like the crystal ball or anything, but I think what's been interesting is his conversation around ByteDance and TikTok. Are we going to still remaining with TikTok in the coming months because the deadline is looming? And I think you were telling me that you heard some story around that, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, so I hear TikTok is here to stay. It was a headline. It wasn't a really in-depth story. We've talked about TikTok probably once or twice a month for the last year on this podcast, never knowing how the politics will get involved. But this one story I read this week said Trump won't mess with it. It's too big of a business to kind of mess with. Although the tariff question is still in loom.
Yeah.
Him throwing tariffs on these Chinese businesses, that could happen. Crypto boomed already this week. The Dow was up record highs. Bitcoin is going through the roof. The treasury yields are up. So I think all this kind of thing is just a knee-jerk reaction, obviously, to what happened on Tuesday. But from a specific business model, business dynamic, I'm excited to see what can happen over the next 4 years through business and through video commerce.
Yeah, and speaking of TikTok, I think I read some interesting stats recently. Do you know that ByteDance, which is TikTok's parent company, reported a revenue of 73 billion for the first half of 2024, sorry. And if you think about this, and Meta reported also for the beginning, and for Meta it was 75.5, so only a 2 billion difference. So 2.5 billion difference. So it's pretty astonishing to see that ByteDance is it's this big company and is really getting on track to maybe go over a Meta. Who knows, right?
Hence why he's probably not going to mess with it. It's just too big of a business model, and it continues to grow, continues to evolve. So people like us that come out of the video commerce space, we want TikTok to grow. We want it to expand. X, with Elon Musk being involved with Trump, like I think limitations on X will be lessened, maybe. Free speech will be kind of endorsed a little bit more than it was in the last 4 years. So all of the social media kind of thing, all of the open communication, I think is a good thing. A couple things that I saw kind of funny or related to this whole story. 15.9 billion were spent on the campaign. Between these two parties, 15.9 billion, which is up almost 1 billion from 4 years ago, which is insane. And I am so happy this is all over because those text messages that we get throughout the day are completely over. So now when my phone dings, I can react to it. And someone I know.
What's the most interesting with this whole text messaging thing is like if you're a company like an e-com and then you're messaging the consumer that did not request it, there's like a whole of hell of trouble for you. But then how those people get so many messages and like those political things, those political group were able to send so many messages and no one got any trouble for it.
I know
that really. I think there's something going on there. That's really
I hope that's looked at, in the next 4 years, because it was beyond annoying for everyone. It was terrible. It was probably the worst part of the whole last month of my life. All those text messages. The second story I wanted to talk about, and a story that I saw was this freedom case. Have you heard about the freedom case in retail? I know it's not new, but I think it reached a headline this week. The freedom case lets the customers enter their phone numbers into a touchscreen device to receive a code that unlocks the case guarding products in stores like Walmart and Lowe's and CVS's and Safeways, things like that. So I think it's becoming more mainstream. I think more retailers are adopting it. We've talked on this podcast a number of times about how retail theft is just outrageous and it's going crazy, and no one really knows how to curb it. I'm not sure exactly how much of the store that can be put inside this case, but I love the documentation, the quote-unquote documentation behind using your smartphone. They can track who you are, how long you're in the case. I'm hoping that's one of the ways they can deter, this rampant retail theft problem.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming it's going to raise some privacy concern as usual. For this kind of thing, because now they know who you are and then they can track you across the store and everything, see what product you look at, are you buying this product or not at the end. So I think that's going to raise some privacy concern, but it's kind of sad when you think about it that we have to come to this point, right? That's like everything has to be locked up, and I always pride myself saying like in the US, at least in the United States, it's so great to be able and have this safety and feeling so safe. And like, how many times I have left my computer on a Starbucks and went to the restroom going back and having like absolutely no fear of like having anything. It's kind of sad that we're moving to this kind of, this kind of thing. But hey, if that's what needs to be happening for retailers, I'm like, we want retailers to have healthy margins and so they can continue investing in their business and they can continue delivering on their premises.
I know, and I saw another story related to this about how retailers, as we've talked about before, where Amazon, if you get the wrong product from Amazon, they don't even want you to return it, and they just they send you the right one. So you kind of keep the product that's incorrect. That's happening more and more with e-com retailers, and rather than going through the process of returns and the dynamic, all that kind of thing, they're just letting the customer keep the original product.
Speaking of that, I think there's something interesting that happened. I don't know if you saw that in the UK this week, where Amazon actually requested that any product that is from international imports. So let's say you're a Chinese merchant and you're selling something in the UK. If the customer returns, and you want your product back, the only way that will happen is like if you have a UK address for returning that product. So they are looking and they want those merchants to have a return address in the country to be able to return it. Otherwise, they will say like keep the product. So obviously, once you know that, I'm pretty sure there will be like some TikTokers say, hey, this is a good way to get free products. You get it, and then
of course. Well, all of it is to curb the cost of the return. So it's a healthy thing for business, right? They have to figure out what to do with these returns. They have to figure out how to monetize, not to monetize it, to curb the spending of the return process. And that, again, you and I talk about this when we do video podcasts and when we're doing video selling. Education is key. So you want to curb that return rate by educating her or him who's watching your podcast, watching your video, and making sure that they're making an informed decision. So that goes back to what we talked about of some of these TikTok shops. Shows are really quick and exciting, and you get kind of the energy behind the buys, but then the customer doesn't know what they're getting, and then in turn return them. So education key.
Yeah. So speaking of return, and let's bring on a little bit logistics. And so this is a report that I read from the Rakuten. And we're talking about holiday spendings and how is the consumer looking to actually allocate their dollar this year. But one of the things that I thought was pretty interesting, it says that 81% of shoppers have no plan to increase spending year over year. So what they are planning on, what they spent last year is what they're going to be spending this year. But the other thing that was very interesting was the consumer is very nervous about supply chain disruption this year, with 42% planning on shopping early to avoid any delays on their orders, and then 32% preferring to shop in store to be able to pick up their product and not having to worry about, will my product be there? And you and I, we were talking about this, like I think it's the first time in many years that Thanksgiving and Black Friday, let's put it this way, Black Friday is so close to the rest of the holidays, the Christmas and so forth. So it is certainly a concern. And then I think it's an interesting move for merchant. I do hope that more people will go to retailers. I mean, the retailers, there's no secret, right? I haven't heard about any good retailer out there doing very well with their retail sales. So I think if we, collaborate with either like going to a local store or even going to big retailers, I think doing some shopping in retail is a good thing. But yeah, I think that was quite interesting numbers.
Yeah, it's just a logistics problem. Thanksgiving being the latest it possibly can be by 5 days. It's 28th of November. If you're working through e-com, the week of the 16th is the absolute deadline to shop. So you're missing out on that final week before Christmas. Really, you have 3 weeks after Black Friday. So I consider early shopping the month of November. Try to get all your shopping done. Try to push all your marketing to the month of November, because December it's last minute gifts. It's just the way it is this year.
Yeah, and the good news is like election are over, so now I think all the CPM and CPA and all that is going down because all those campaigns and those packs are stopping buying ads everywhere. So there's more ad inventory available for merchants.
Correct. So. The last story I wanted to talk about, and it's a category that I work through QVC, is the headline they called it the salt scrub economy. So wellness, the Global Wellness Institute reported that the wellness category is now worth $6 trillion. $6 trillion. It's bigger than pharma. And I think this is since COVID. It's grown since 2019, 26%. So in my mind, it's since COVID. It's the anxiety of COVID. It's the stress of everything that happened in 2020. Especially women are really buying in and jumping into the wellness category. And in this story, they kind of capsuled it into 3 different categories. Personal care and beauty, which is $1.2 trillion valuation. 1.2. Personal care and beauty. Then the second one was healthy eating, nutrition, and weight loss. and we know about the weight loss stories. It's been one of the key drivers this year in talking about pharma. And then the third one is physical activity. So the Pelotons of the world and all the things you buy through physical activity, all the money that's spent through there, wellness is blowing up. So I think wellness, I think beauty, I think nutrition and supplements are great categories for the video commerce space. It's been strong in home shopping with QVC and HSN for almost 40 years. They've got a number of different brands that thrive on their platforms with beauty and wellness and skincare and healthy foods and weight loss with Nutrisystem and all those kind of things. Physical activity in the first quarter, they're always selling exercise equipment or healthy eating products. It makes complete sense to me, but I could not believe $6 trillion bigger than pharma.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, right? But I mean, yeah, it's a really impressive number. I don't know what to say really, but
well, I'm just saying. I mean, it's to me for video commerce, it's like the ideal category because you can show before and afters. You can demo. I know we've talked about this before, but if you could show how the product works, using a model, using yourself, all that kind of thing through video, how great is that compared to putting it on a shelf and just trying to sell a bottle or sell a cream, to demonstrate it. So it caught my eye because, like I said, I work in the space. I think it's a great category for video commerce, and I'm happy that it's growing.
And what I like about wellness is, like, in general, it's kind of you're selling happiness or you're selling a feeling, right? And that's so there's a lot of things you can do around it, and it also gives you some flexibility on how you sell it, which is very different from selling a hamburger or something, right? So I think that's what's that category is. You can have a balance of inspiration and aspiration and all that different thing at the same time, and make your content pretty versatile and pretty exciting for many users.
Well, many product categories touch on the heartstrings or touch on your emotion. To your point, this is one of those categories that is a complete emotional decision. How's this going to make me feel, or how am I going to look? So as I said, I think it's a great category. I'm happy it's growing, and I'm hoping it continues to grow.
All right, Matt. Well, it was another cool show. Hopefully, it was not too noisy around me, but people were able to hear the show. We are here every Friday on LinkedIn, as well as on Facebook and YouTube and some other social media platform. You could also find us on the live e-commerce podcast, where we post the live every week. And then if you want to chat with us, please feel free to send us a note. And Matt, I've seen that you've been on podcast recently, so you're becoming that superstar too, right?
I love this dynamic. I love talking about what we do, Nicholas.
That's cool. That's cool. Perfect. Well, thanks everyone, and we look forward to see you again and see you next Friday, right?
Thank you, Nicholas. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.